Hello virtual dreamers, Gregory here, and this is the Prologue, a weekly series of videos where I document my activities, track my stats, and complete quests, all for the sake of creating my dream virtual reality setup. The active quests for this week were the side quest, 2 per week, and the main quest, Vision of the Future. So how have things been going? Let's have a look at the Synopsis segment to find out. The first few days of this week were fairly hectic since I was doing a lot of work to try to get ready for my Physics 2 exam, and all things told, I'd say it worked out pretty well in the end because I aced the test, so yeah, I guess you could say that studying was worth my while. On the note of my side quest, 2 per week, things have been continuing fairly smoothly. I managed to get myself down to 168, which is the first time I've seen my weight down in the 160s in the past 6 months. It's not like I've been completely and utterly just overweight dying here, but at the same time, it does feel good for me personally to know that I'm getting right back down to where I initially started out this year at, which was 165. It's good that I'm managing to keep pace though. The whole baby turtle steps philosophy really does show its mettle in these kind of situations, just because I've spent the past 6 months kind of going up and down, with a slight upward trajectory if I'm being honest. But thanks to the beginning of this quest, the numbers have continued to fluctuate up and down throughout the week, but they've been trending downwards, which is kind of a nice thing, and it's a testament to how setting up a reasonable goal with a small and or easy method of execution on a regular basis can really help you bring out the best in your abilities, or just plain old bring out your full potential, since it's a lot easier to steadily build towards something over time than it is to just try to rush at it all in one go, especially if you can't complete something in that one go, just because that generally tends to lead to burning out and not being able to complete your project. Which, on the note of that, the main quest for the weeks of July 15th through to July 28th, the Vision of the Future, is complete! If I really wanted to make this model perfect, I think I could spend another month just doing nothing but tweaking the vertices little by little, working on the UV maps, trying to set up weights and everything, but I have other things to get down to, and I really just cannot put any more time into this headset than I have. But I also have to say I really am kind of happy with how it turned out, and also it's kind of fascinating just as a mental exercise to think that I saw this fictional virtual reality headset before I saw the preview to the real virtual reality headset, which I would later then purchase and now use that real virtual reality headset to help me see the virtual reality headset in a real manner. It's kind of hard to keep track of, and it's kind of a bit of one of those like Inception, dream within a dream within a dream things in my own head, but it's kind of fun to see, and honestly this was more of an inspiration piece than anything practical. I have uploaded the file to Sketchfab or whatever that website that I found was, so if you want to download it, feel free. Put up the exact .blend file, so if you think you can modify that file and perfect it, I would really appreciate it if you did so and just shared it around, because this is all it's meant to be, something for the community. I have to confess though, throughout this entire experience, I've really just gotten familiar with how bad the whole learn, use, lose cycle can really be on you. Because it was a lot harder to set this thing up and make it than I was ever planning for it to be. I know that I've forgotten quite a bit of my 3D modeling skills, but come on, it was just brutal. I had to relearn UV mapping, just starting to work with the tools in Blender again, finding the new features, messing around with some of the glitches and bugs, and it's like, come on, you know this stuff, you gotta fix it. So it just makes me really realize exactly how much effort I really need to put into just making sure I can preserve what few abilities I can get, since personally speaking, everybody, I tend to be a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none, and in my opinion, that means that the best way for me to bring out my potential is to make sure I can leverage as many of my abilities constantly, and if I start learning stuff only to lose it again later, it isn't exactly doing my class any favors, so I'm definitely going to be putting more effort into making sure that I can preserve my things going forward, which leads us very well into my quest for the next week, which will be, how will I use physics in the real world? My task for this quest will be to write down certain uses for some of the information that I've learned over the past 2 semesters of taking physics courses. The general idea here being to answer that whole question that appears in so many math and science classes whenever a student feels frustrated of, how am I going to use this in real life? What use is calculus, trigonometry, physics calculations, and all this going to be in my real life? Which, for me personally, I can find a ton of uses, and I'm actually doing this whole quest around that idea because There are so many ways in which these equations can be used and have so many good applications that I feel that not only is finding my own uses to preserve this information useful, but I feel that sharing my own uses will also be helpful to you if you ever feel frustrated in trying to understand how you're going to be able to use this information. But to kind of sum things up in a nice, concise package, the use I have for all this physics information in the real world is using it to create a virtual world where I don't need that physics information. Now then everyone, that just about does it for me, but you all had your own quest to be completing as well over this past week. Your quest, Oculus Naming Scheme, called for you to provide information on how Oculus goes about naming their virtual reality prototypes for the press. And the answer to that question was, they named them after cities in California near to where they work. The names we've had so far include things such as Crescent Bay, Santa Cruz, and Half Dome. Half Dome being the most recent one, and having a varifocal display, inside-out tracking, hand tracking, and even eye tracking. Honestly, if that headset were available right now, I think it'd pretty much just demolish everything we currently have available in the market, which makes me really excited for the kind of things we're going to be experiencing over the next few years. Anywho, we had 2 clears for this quest, Geek On and Axel. Congratulations you two for completing the quest. You've really done a good job here. In addition, Geek On, you were the first person to complete the quest, and therefore you would receive the ability to choose a character for me to draw. Your choice was RankaLee from Macross Frontier. This is actually an interesting choice for me since I'm not really familiar with the series of Macross. Somewhere around my teenage years where I was really just consuming all of anime, I managed to somehow allow the mecha genre to completely slip through my fingers, which is a point of kind of disappointment with myself. I really want to get around to just checking it out since I've really, ever since I got my Oculus Rift, have really desperately wanted to make a VR mecha demo of some kind. So look forward to that in the future if it ever happens, but before I get around to doing that, I should really start checking out more VR or indoor mecha stuff. Anywho, here is the sketch for you. I mentioned that this was going to be a bust-only shot, but I kind of lament that just because I would have had the opportunity to draw more of her poofy outfit if I'd really just gone a little bit lower than the chest in this case. But alas, I'll have opportunities to do that in the future, and I hope they enjoyed the sketch this time. I actually took a little bit of extra time to color it in this time, since again, I have a bit more spare time on my hands, and I really enjoyed trying out the character just because I'm not familiar with the franchise, so it was an opportunity for me to look into some more of their aesthetics and see a bit more of a franchise that has really populated mecha history and thus for anime history for a long time. RankaLee has also been a character that I've seen popping around a lot in just general images and doujinshi and stuff like that, so I'm really curious about her in particular now. She seems like a very happy, peppy kind of character, but I've seen a few other images that seem to have shown the contrary, so I'm not too sure how she's like, and I hope I managed to capture at least part of her spirit inside of this image. I hope you enjoyed the sketch, Geek On. Thank you very much for your selection. It should also be noted, everyone, that I've begun uploading all the drawings that I've been doing for these prologues to my DeviantArt. The link should be in the description, and I also have a link to the 3D model of the NerveGear if you wish to download it. It is in the .blend format, so if you want to convert it to something else, feel free to just download Blender and export it out. Shouldn't be too much trouble, and honestly, you might like what you see there, just because Blender is a very full-featured exportation creation just generally everything 3D suite, so you might be fascinated with what you get there for a free open source package. I know I was when I first started using it. I apologize for the delay with all those drawings though. I really need to start getting on top of just getting everything set up around these episodes in advance. Thank you very much for your patience. Well then everyone, it's about time for your next quest. The quest for the week of July 29th through to August 4th. MMO History Number 1. Your task will be to provide an answer to what the term MUD refers to, as well as what it kind of actually is. I will be judging your answers based on how many likes and replies it receives, as well as my own personal opinion. While my personal opinion will get dominance in most cases, if I do see that one particular answer just towers over the rest in terms of just activity, I might also just redirect to that instead. Again, this will all be kind of up to my judgment, so we'll know once the next prologue is released. You guys at least one hint, I am referring to Roy Trubshaw's MUD when I mention MUD, as well as the genre that happened afterwards. If you'd like, just provide an overall history of the whole MUD term if you want in the description. That should be sufficient in order to really net you this first spot. Again, like other quests, there are 5 clear spots, with the first clear, or in other words, the best answer, receiving the sketch for next time. Instead of being a bust though, I'm actually just going to be aiming on the neck up this time, so making it a bit of a facial portrait. This will allow me to really just hammer in on the details for that character's face. So remember, you get the option to choose that character. Feel free to provide it directly in the answer you provide for the quest. That way, I can know exactly what it is in advance. With that everyone, we're pretty much done here. Best of luck to you, my fellow adventurers and dreamers. This has been Gregory, logging out.